Greetings, everybody out there. Just want to say my name is Christopher Radcliffe. You also may know me as Chris Brown. That's my current legal name. I'm in the process of getting changed. I won't get into all that right now, but I wanted to make this video. Might be making some future videos. I've been getting a lot of messages and a lot of statements and questions and attacks on the Bible, God, and alcohol. I've noticed there's a lot of deception going on here that people just, think it's okay to get drunk and walk with Christ, And it's kind of funny, actually. 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through 5 states, in the scripture that having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. Now, when someone has a form of godliness and they deny the power, that's basically saying, it's okay for me to get drunk because, God doesn't, God's mad. That's having a form of godliness. Now, as we read on this, I've dug into some scripture and let's get to work. All right. We have in Proverbs 21. If you have a Bible or you're just watching, it's completely fine. I'm going to flip to Proverbs 21. That is 20, verse 1. And as we read the wise words of King Solomon, I'm going to dig into this and answer some questions here. Proverbs 21. Getting some hangers on my nose. Please disregard the, 21. Alright, here we go. Proverbs 21. Wine is a mocker, and beer a brawler. Whosoever is led astray by them is not wise. Read it one more time. Wine is a mocker, and beer a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise. Okay, I think this verse is kind of self-explanatory, but where the controversy comes in for the unbeliever, we have much compassion. I have much compassion for unbelievers as I'm witnessing. But I want to say to the unbelievers who don't usually understand a lot of this stuff, I want to say there is 1 Corinthians 1:18, the gospel is foolishness to the ones, who are perishing. I don't mean that in an attackful form. Just simply I mean that as there's deception going on. You refuse to read the Bible, and you refuse to, obey God's command. Now, God gives us a lot of opportunities to accept Him into our hearts. And if we deny Him, that's not our fault. We can't blame Him. My pastor, previous pastor in Simi Valley told me, if there's ever a problem with God, we are always the problem. God's not the problem. Let's continue on. Wine is a mocker, beer a brawler. Whoever soul is led astray by them is not wise. Okay, I know a lot of people say, and mostly this has been in the comment, was, well, Jesus turned water into wine. So if Jesus turned water into wine, then it must be okay. That's the way our culture reasons in this age. We must understand, in that time, in the translations, the word wine, there is fermented wine, and there is unfermented wine. The Bible stresses very importantly that, as so in Scripture, which we will read in here in a little bit, there is wine that is bad, which contains alcohol, and there is also other wine, which nourishes the body, which is of grape, which is grown off vineyards. We must understand that what this whole wine controversy is we have wine. Wine is wine. Alcohol is added into the wine. It is separate. There is still this wine, and then there is a new wine with alcohol in it. It's plain and simple. Now, where we get lost at is we think, well, there's only one wine. And you know what? Jesus turned water into wine, and it says good for the body, but so it must be okay. I do want to say, okay, me as my own believer and in my own testimony, we will say, you know what? I'm a Christian, but it does say, Jesus turns water into wine. That's how my reasoning was as an unbeliever. I wanted to justify my drinking. I really wanted to believe in my mind that it would be okay with God for me to drink and still love Him. But it's just not how it works. It's not how it works. I want to read on. We hear the word mocker. What do you think when we hear mocker? Mocker, making fun of. New Year's Eve, go downtown, people falling over, drunk, throwing up, cannot reason with a drunk person. Leading cause of death, not sure if it's number one, drunk driving. They're taking it very serious in a lot of states. A lot of people have been killed. I know we all get killed from a numerous amount of things. It's another reason why we need to find God, because life's short, and being drunk makes you say and do things that you really do not mean. And people say, well, alcohol brings out who you really are. That's really not the thing. Alcohol, if you read in the scriptures, it tells you to sustain from pharmakeia, which pharmakeia translated in the Greek is, pharmaceuticals, drugs, sorcery, witchcraft. When we alter our mind, the reason God created us a certain way that was perfect in His eyes, knowing how His will could work in our lives if we accept Him. Now, people say, well, you know what? In Genesis, this says God can sow the seed, bear the fruit, and they're irrationally justifying their use of marijuana. Well, I serve God, and I get closer to God when I'm on marijuana. That is a deceive, and that is a deception from the pit of hell. And I'm sorry to say, when you are on marijuana, you're on a mild hallucinogen. 1 Peter 5:8 says in the Bible, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, Satan, is as a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Now, we battle a spiritual warfare. It is bad enough when we're drunk and the first thing that comes to our mind is, you know what, I want to fight somebody. And whoever's watching this who's been drunk knows that you've either been in a fight, you either wanted to start a fight with somebody for no apparent reason because you were drunk, you felt you needed to be prideful, you needed to hit somebody so people would respect you, or you have seen other people get into fights. Or you have seen people drunk that were all in the corner making out with a random girl that the next day the relationship did not last. We see this everywhere. Now, we must ask the question, what are we doing this as believers of morality? If we sustain these morals, if we followed morals, what are we doing about it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Aside from 1 Peter 5:8, the Bible also says on the thing of evilness in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6:13. Matter of fact, we can turn there. I'm reading out of the NIV. Basically, Ephesians 6:12 explains a lot on this spiritual warfare and why sustaining and from altering the mind is just so important in God's eyes. I mean, come on. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. I don't want to go off on any tangents here, but I do want to make you guys well alert of what's going on here in this world. So, we're running out of time on this current video, so I'm going to have to stop this. Otherwise, we will leave off on going to Ephesians 6:12 and continuing on the alcohol segment. God bless.